Yeah.
You do a lot of these?
This is actually my first podcast.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's cool, man.
So somebody finally found me interesting enough to have me on camera instead of me be the one filming.
This is Hard Parking, brought to you by Wright Honda and Wright Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jhae Pfenning, recording from my home studio in Gilbert, Arizona. Coming up on today's show, Tyler Patterson of TXP_media on Instagram came by the studio, had a great conversation. I'd never met him before. We've exchanged a couple DMs, said he wanted to come on the show, which usually is a flag for me. Okay, where does this person want to push? But I am happy that he did that because we had an excellent conversation. I think you're going to learn a lot about him and how he does what he does, because a lot of local talents, photographers, videographers are trying to get in the industry that he is in, and he's going to tell us how he does it. All that more coming up after this word from SparkForge. So quick story for you. A listener lost a big job, missed the call, never saw the DM, probably because he was listening to this podcast. It happens, and it's fixable. Running a business shouldn't mean juggling a dozen apps and missing opportunities. SparkForge helps you reply faster, capture more leads, and get more reviews, all without adding hours to your day. One simple place to handle calls, texts, and social messages so you can focus on the work that pays. It's like finally putting your business on cruise control without losing the steering wheel. One login, one platform, all under your control. Consolidate your tech in one place to save time, money, and headache. The future is here, and it's powered by SparkForge AI from our friends at Arcus Foundry. Jump into a 30-day trial today by using code HARDPARKED at getsparkforge.ai and stop letting yesterday's tech eat tomorrow's profits. Tyler, the creator, Patterson, in studio. Thanks for coming by Hard Parking, first and foremost. I appreciate you for that.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So I got your message a while ago. Get me on the pod.
Yeah.
And I said, absolutely, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I'm very bad at that stuff. So I love the fact that at the last event, you're like, hey, Tyler Patterson. Oh, shit. Yes, let's do it. And that, on my mind, the whole way home, I go, let me get home, drop into his DMs and say, let's get it set up.
Yeah, man.
So thank you.
Appreciate that.
It's not very often that I have people that, like, I know of you, obviously. We follow each other. But that that was the first time I think
that was the first time
when you
we
introduced yourself. Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah.
You could be coming in here to blow up the podcast, to blow up anything you want, and I don't know, which is kind of cool. When I have had people on here that I haven't known before in the past, they've been the best ones.
Cool. Love
because the normal listeners of this podcast get an opportunity to learn about somebody new.
Yeah. You're
involved in a lot of stuff. Like I go, oh shit. Okay. That's cool. The 6.8 million followers you have on Instagram. Just kidding, but
I wish.
Yeah, I mean, don't we all, right? In a way. But you have a lot of followers and you do a lot of stuff. So just really briefly tell the normal listening and viewing audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's kind of one of the cool things. I think that my story is actually like resonates pretty well with everybody, because before I started making videos and was like in the car scene that way, I was just a collision estimator, so I sold cars for a couple of years and I was in collision estimating. And then, I don't know if like the origin story of like where I started, but
no, we're going to get into that.
So I've always been into race cars. I've always, had loud cars. I used to street race my Evo, and that's kind of like, that's how I got ingrained into the car culture here in Arizona. And so I always had loud cars, Evo, STI. They weren't like Harleys or, crazy V8s, but my neighbor, she absolutely hated my loud cars. And I mean, they're turbo cars. So you come home, you have a turbo timer. So sometimes it runs for 30 seconds after you turn it off to, run oil through the turbo. And she hated my cars. And one day she was, yelling at me about starting up my Subaru. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was going to work.
Not even early.
And, she was yelling at me. So I filmed her and I filmed like our altercation. And then that day I went on to AZ Street Heat, if you're aware of. If you're a car guy, in Arizona, the debauchery that is AZ Street Heat. But, I admin that group at the time, and I set up an event for everybody to come rev their cars in front of her house at 6 a.m. to give her something to actually complain about.
I remember that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was me.
when you first started describing the story, I go, oh, that sounds familiar.
Yep.
And yeah, okay.
That was on Street Heat like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That happened. And so, I made the event, like 60 people came. It was crazy. Cops got called because, cars were two-stepping. It sounded like gunshots.
Right.
And then, so that went off and super viral. 32 million views on Facebook and 6 million views on YouTube. And so I was like, well, maybe I should start making videos. I had been into like a creative arts class in high school and like dabbled in video editing stuff, and it was fun, but I had never really touched like a real camera. And so then I was like, I just need to figure out how to do this. And so I just YouTube Academy, learned everything from YouTube.
Right.
Dude, there's so many free resources on YouTube that it's wild. So yeah, I was making videos with my cell phone at the time, just iPhone and an iPhone gimbal. And then some guy randomly on Facebook that I had never met in real life was like, hey, dude, your videos are getting really good. Like, you shouldn't be shooting on a phone anymore. I'll give you $1,000. Go buy your first camera and your first gimbal, and then pay me back whenever you can.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Never met this dude in real life. Only interacted on Facebook. Went over to his house same day. Gave me $1,000 cash, and he was like, hey, I'm hoping that you're a good person that I see online, that's true. And within like 2-3 weeks, I had already paid him back, and that kind of started it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of looking back, given how old were you at the time with the lady, Karen?
20. I mean, I had lived there for like 5 years, so probably from the age of like 23 to like 27, 28, and that was like when I first picked up a camera. It was when I was 28. So,
would you do that again?
I would have done it sooner. I mean, yeah,
absolutely, right? Yeah,
yeah. It's kind of weird, like just where things take you.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought I was doing something funny, and I was just gonna teach her a lesson. And now sometimes I look back, I'm just like, thank you to her, right? Like, I never know if this would have happened if we didn't have that interaction that day. So you never know, like, what's gonna come.
And I guess one person could say, why do that? But another person could say, why would she do that? Because there's too many times we see videos.
Yeah.
And we have the unhinged person who just decides to they're going to film you and yell at you. If you have a complaint, go to the HOA if there is one. Otherwise, you just know that. I mean, at 9 o'clock, dude.
You live in Phoenix, Arizona?
It's not like Cars and Coffee, 5:30 a.m. in the summer. Like, we're talking technically it's middle of the morning.
Yeah.
And people have loud cars. And you said you had the loud cars, but not like a Harley or anything, but that gave me an opportunity to ask you this because one of my pet peeves, well, I don't even want to set it up that way, but we have noise ordinances in places, California, other places, but it never seems to apply to the big bikes,
to the
bikers,
hogs,
to the loud hogs. And I just always found that annoying and stupid.
That was just like one of the like things that I said to her. I was like, what if I had a Harley or like a big truck or something that I started every morning? I was just on blue collar, dude. Like, do you hate it just because it's a little tuner race car? And like the other part of me is that you live in Phoenix, Arizona. There's 4 million people here, and it's not like we're out like with land. You live right next to me. Like, that's just something that we both deal with. Like, I deal with your noise, you deal with mine, and that was like, I'm a good neighbor, I don't make noise, I don't party, like, I don't sell drugs, just leave me alone, and that was like super hard for her.
That's an excellent point about the big truck because you got the guys with the big turbo diesels.
Yeah.
They start them early in the morning and they just sit out there and idle because that's what they have to do. I've been woke up many times over the years by those trucks and you're just like, oh, neighbor's getting ready for work again, and you go back to sleep. So that's kind of funny. Do you still keep in contact with this person who did that?
I thought it would be nice, like, bring her a cake or something. Like,
no, not that person.
Oh, not that person.
Yeah, the one that's like, I love what you're doing online.
I mean,
let's do something with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that over everything, you just have to have work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could have just started making videos and it could have been a hobby, but I've really liked creating. I thought it was awesome to have a job to like film race cars. Like, that's crazy. When somebody asks me what I do, I say I get to film race cars for a living. And usually they're like, what? Like, what does that even mean? So to be going from like a regular 9 to 5 and like almost stuck in the matrix, if you will, to now having like a skill outside of video, right? Because AI is crazy. You never know where it's going to
let's
take
talk
you.
about
But
that if I can remember.
yeah, but like, just helping businesses, marketing, all that stuff that I've learned, like, I just feel like I have something invaluable now, Like, I feel like no matter what happens, I'm going to be fine,
It's crazy though, because did you ever have, like, what did you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's weird because I think a lot of people, like, I know myself personally, I would sit at my 9 to 5 and just think like, man, what can I do to get out of here, and like business ideas or, like crypto or whatever it is, you're always thinking of ways to like get up and get ahead. And I mean, I never in a million years would have thought like,
Sure.
oh, this is what you're supposed to do, So yeah, I don't think I ever really had like that one thing.
It's interesting though, right? Because what you're doing now, and we'll talk about it, but what you're doing now, it's been a career for a lot of people, not in the same way, but it's even more so a thing now with the way things are in media, period. It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's like when we talk about changing technologies and we'll take EV batteries, for example, and we know the whole EV thing, whatnot. But one of the things that I've said, in order to make that actually work, which it's not going to, but in order to make it actually work, you need to be able to swap out batteries in cars. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, there's going to be some sort of a new job that comes along. Like, no one was delivering Amazon like they are now 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a new job created by technology and the trends.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole fleet of people that all they do is drive around, deliver batteries all day. Unthinkable now, but that could be a thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in your space, to where it's a traditional career, but it seems somewhat unattainable. But you got to go to school and do all the AV tech stuff, and now you can just come off the street with some skill, use the power of social media and marketing, have a drive, and find success. Did it always feel easy and natural to you, or were there like, I don't know if this is what I want to do because it sucks?
No, it's, a lot of like, we have like this whole like trope about like the starving artist and, about that, where it's like hard to make money if you're a creative and this and that. And it's like, every video that I make is essentially an ad. It's like as many people are supposed to see it as possible. I'm trying to make it as good as possible so that it gets shared and saved and whatever. So, like, yeah, I mean, I just think when it comes down to like building your platform and doing those things that like put you in position, it's crazy in this landscape. Because I tell everybody, get into content. Like, just start making content, because, there's never been a time where creators were like so empowered and that you could just literally learn something. And now it's not about, oh, I went to school here or like whatever. It's the content is the proof. If I can make a badass video, what do you care if I went to a media arts college? If I can make a video that's going to get 5-6 million views, like that, I think it's proof is in the pudding now when it comes to content. We used to have this like whole influencer era of people that were like fake and buying followers and interaction and stuff. And like, I think now you just see through it, right? You see like a page that's like 200,000 followers, but they get no interaction on their posts, like 80, 90 likes or something. I mean, we only have 86K on Instagram, and I mean, we've done multiple.
And that's TXP media.
Yeah. And then TikTok, we have 200,000. So, TikTok originally, that's what's funny about Instagram now, because Instagram's like the hot platform now, but Instagram used to hate video a couple of years ago. It was just a photo platform. Every video that you uploaded that had music would get like copyright strike or muted for that. And then only in the last couple of years has like the TikTokification of content really like pushed video into Instagram. So I started pushing TikTok really hard, blew up really well on TikTok, and then they changed a bunch of stuff with like what's okay to show, no burnouts,
it's
no
very
racing.
Inconsistent too, by the way.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
I'll see a video and it's like, this video is performed by professionals, and it's just some dude in his backyard doing something like crazy. I'm like, oh, but my video of a burnout on a street with no cars, got the video taken down. So yeah, I don't really focus on TikTok as much anymore, but yeah, Instagram's been really good for me.
But has it been linear for you?
No, I mean, that is one of the things that I struggle with, is that like I've always just kind of had to figure out how to handle as much work as I've had. Like I've never run ads. I've never like run targeted campaigns to get work. It's just always kind of been about figuring out how to handle whatever's on our plate. Now we do work for Nismo Corporate. We just got last week we got 6 more dealerships
I saw that.
on retainer. So now we do 14 different dealerships, in Phoenix. So we're working with like almost every major manufacturer now.
I think the big thing with that, as we'll kind of transcend into your industry, is you have a significant array of clients, and you can't treat all of them the same way as far as the videos you produce.
Yeah.
Do you have like this standard thing that you typically, okay, so we just picked up 6 new dealerships.
Yeah.
We picked them up because of these ads. So this is the way we are going to construct those videos versus the event that we recently went to.
Yeah.
Right.
With the Stradman.
With James Stradman at the hot chicken place. That's gonna, I think, in theory, be a different
piece
style
of
video, right?
Sure.
Like, how do you figure out what's what?
It's just about doing, I think knowledge. Like, I can't make a super explicit video for one of these like corporate dealer clients. I think one of the things that we really focus on when it comes to like social media content is just like value driven stuff. A lot of times businesses used to look at social media just like a marketplace, like put up their sales, put up their whatever. But I always use the friend analogy, where social media is where you choose to follow people, right? So they're essentially your friends. Well, if you had a friend that came over and every time he came over, he was trying to sell you something, you're probably not going to meet with that friend anymore.
Not very
right?
often.
So
I think we all have friends like that too.
Yeah.
It's like they're in your circle, but it's like
they always
want
have some
something.
agenda, right?
Yep,
it might not be a sale, but they might try to be squeezed in somewhere,
transactional.
So like that's the approach that we take, where social media, you just have to be entertaining people. You have to be giving them value without asking for anything. So we take on different approaches to content just depending on the client. If it's a Chevrolet client, well, their customer is going to be different than like an Audi customer, right? So their
demographic understanding.
Yeah. So, and I think it really helps that like myself and pretty much all my team is just car people, so we understand a Skyline versus a 240SX, or we understand like what goes into an LS swap and like how to build that caption versus a lot of like traditional marketing companies. Like they're just pencil pushers, right? They
have no idea.
Yeah, they're just marketing people. So it's like I think that we make content that resonates with the audience that wants to see it, and I think that like we know what's cool, like we know what looks good. We do some trends, but we just really try to make the coolest stuff that we can.
How did you land your first deal in TXP?
Yeah,
talk about that.
Yeah.
When did you decide to create that or be a part of that?
Yeah. I mean,
I'd imagine you're the creator since two of the 3 initials are your name.
Yeah. And then the X's just means it's funny because like when I started to think of the name, I'm like, I don't know if this will ever go anywhere. Let's just throw some initials in it. And now I'm like, God, if I could have just put in some time into like a better brandable name. But
that's fine.
Yeah. No. I mean, when we started and when I started this, it was just myself. Just making cool videos, and like as time and as like more people get to know me, we get busier, and so then it went from me just like doing car features and just doing like cool videos of cars to then businesses messaging me and saying, hey, do you do social media management? And again, with knowing so many different people like just in the car scene, that once they saw that I was making videos, they just already knew of me, and they're like, oh, we can just go to Tyler for videos. So I think it was like early to mid 2022 when we kind of like flipped a switch from doing just like B2C stuff with just like filming cars like for people's Instagram to doing like more B2B stuff where we were all like just managing their social medias. And I went around to a bunch of businesses and owners that I knew that I could help them with their content. And I was just like, look, we can do this. We can put a team together, and you'll essentially have multiple people working on it, and it'll be less than just one full-time employee. And it just seems to make sense to businesses. Like a lot of the in-house marketing people, like they're scrolling TikTok most of the day, or they're not like doing actual like work, or somebody can only film and edit so much as one person. We have 6 people on your contract, so.
It's interesting you say that, and because you brought that last part about scrolling TikTok, I'll get back to what my initial thought was. Yeah. But there are times when, like, I'm watching my wife just scroll through certain things or listening to it, and I'm thinking, okay, what is it about that video that caused her to stop on it?
Yeah.
Or the kids or the grandkids. Like, what is it about what they're watching
Yeah.
Because with like trends change so much, and you have to be willing to adapt and change with them, or else you're going to get kind of left behind. Yeah. Being dependable, being the one-stop shop, because people know, hey, I worked with TXP. TXP knows what I like. They're hassle-free. I'm like that with a few of the people that I bring back for all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Hey, this person, I'm looking for somebody. Do you know anyone? Yeah, I get Tyler. Here's Tyler, TXP. And so you said something that I think is very important. I push it all the time. Relationships and networking. If you know how to network and you know how to have a natural, good relationship with people, it's going to get you far as hell.
That's better than being a better videographer. Like, there's tons of videographers that are like make better videos than me, I still have more clients, right? It's like they're so focused on like the creative aspect that they forget like the business side of things. And with me selling cars for multiple years, I went through sales school. Like, that stuff was already there for me, where, I think that's where a lot of people are missing it.
So you probably know who this is, but just in case you did, you know who John Sabal is? Or John Seibel? Is it Seibel or Sabal?
Yeah, Seibel? I
have to
really
remember
familiar.
now because I had him on the show a long time ago.
Yeah.
And through our friendship relationship from going to all these events, it was great. And he basically said exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
There's going to be people out there that are more skilled at different things, but being able to effectively communicate, have a good relationship, not burn bridges is going to get you far as hell in life.
Yeah, dude.
And you're climbing up. So looking at your profile, I show that you're associated with the hub as well.
Yeah.
Now, are you just doing media with them, or are you like part of the actual hub?
So that was part of the Stradman thing. Freddie Wynn, he's like one of the, there's Freddie, Joshua.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Freddie, Joshua, and Rudy. Those are like the main owners of Hub. And they just deal with a lot of high-profile people, It's like I was talking to Freddie the other day, and it was just like you're talking about. It's just all about relationships and how many people you know and how well you treat those relationships. And so, working with those guys, we covered the Stradman stuff. So it's like the meet to Houston Hot Chicken. Then we went to Barrett Jackson from Houston Hot Chicken. That video hasn't come out yet. And then on Monday that week, we went to Dutch Bros Corporate and like delivered them pizzas and stuff. And so that was all part of like Hub 111. And those guys are cool. I think for me, like a lot of the bigger creators just have like issues with ego, honestly. Like, they don't want to work with anybody.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to like build something else. They just want to build themselves up, And like, I get it. Right, like we've all been there. But
you are your own brand sometimes, but there's a point.
Yeah, I mean, I've joined production companies all the time. I'll just go shoot cool stuff. Like, I don't need my name attached to it. I don't need to like have those clients as my own. I'm at the point now where we get to kind of like choose who we work with and the projects that we work on. So I'm just trying to do cooler stuff.
So someone could say Tyler's an influencer, but you're not usually front and center in front of the camera as much as you're behind it.
Yeah.
The whole ego thing made me think about this part, because on a much smaller scale, people have called me an influencer before. And then you always you're like, because of some of those personalities and those egos, it's like you want to have the independent success, but you don't want to be called an influencer.
Yeah, it has like a bad connotation.
It does, and there's some good ones out there, and there's some that aren't. I mean, I guess they're all good in their own right.
Yeah.
I did an episode last year or year before, like never meet your influencer heroes, and it was very specific about one person,
Yeah.
And if you were to go back and listen to it, you could probably figure out
who it is
within a few minutes of who that person is.
Yeah.
But even that wasn't one of my, heroes, but somebody that I've witnessed be a complete asshole to other people as soon as the camera turned off. And I was like, dude, what a dick.
Yeah.
And then being around this person multiple times, working the same event, trying to have small talk, it's like, dude, what a dick. Where do you, because you have to deal with some of these, some of them are going to have more ego than the others.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Because this is going to be an important lesson for anybody watching this who wants to do what you do.
Yeah. I mean, how we deal with it, I don't know. I just always try to be myself. I'm always just trying to get the best footage that I can.
Right.
And, I think like influencer has a bad connotation now because like everybody's trying to do it, right? Like influencers have been around forever. They're
forever.
Called actors.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, you had to be famous or be something to do that. And now, influencers tossed around so like loosely because, just because you have followers or whatever, but you're influencing people. But
Yeah.
I think you just have to have something that's like valuable to influence, or like you have to know something. You can't just be an influencer if you don't know what you're talking about, So I think it just has to do with authenticity, right? Like I know cars. Like you want to talk to me about cars, I'm a car guy. Like I'll talk to you as I'm filming your race car, and I think it just comes out in the content, Like if I don't have to be all like flashy or cocky
Right.
or like some way. I just make videos. I do want to be more in front of the camera though.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to grow my own personal brand more.
Because that's important as well.
Yeah.
It's part of the equation.
Yeah, put a face to it.
Yeah, but you can't lose yourself in that.
Yeah.
Unless you're bringing other people with you. How big is your team right now?
7.
And how do you decide, when to add or drop? Like, have you ever had to drop people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I had like a big like wake up call last year. It was like last year, right around this time, actually, at SEMA, we lost 2 of our largest contracts like within the course of 3 days. So we had, one of our contracts was $8,000 a month. The other was 10. So, I lost like almost $250,000 with 2 phone calls, and we had just like started expanding our team. So, I mean, with any marketing business, you have this thing called churn, right? Your clients, they just
come in and come out.
Doesn't matter how
in and
good you
out.
do. There's just unforeseen stuff. You could have your best friend client of 10 years and, something happens in their organization that cuts you out.
Yep.
So that was one thing that I didn't really protect myself well enough against churn. Like we were just too dependent on those like 2 clients. And then, that almost cut our like complete workload in half, So it was super hard to, say, hey, I'm not letting, because I love the people on my team. So
Absolutely,
it was more like, I know we're going to get back there. So it's like, you just kind of have to wait for now, It's like a weird place to be in as a creator because they're like, well, I have to make money, And if any of them went to any other teams, totally fine. But, one of our editors is in Poland. One of our editors is in Dallas. He's been with me since day one. And then, the rest of our team is local. So
you haven't really had to cut anyone for performance? Or did you ever have? You have? Okay, well, that's, how do you handle that situation?
I mean, I think people just need to take accountability, right? Like if you did something wrong and it's like a fireable offense, and like I'm just gonna be real with you, but like, hey, I have to let you go. Like I can't have this on my team. Like one of my like the main thing that I think about is like one of my guys was like, we go, so kind of like our workflow is, I have like one creative lead who manages a bunch of different contracts. He'll go out throughout the week and he'll film, right? Just miscellaneous content. Well, they can just sit around and talk sometimes to the employees, or they're not actually filming. So this employee of mine was just like loitering and talking around to the guys and kind of keeping them off task. Well, the business owner came up to my guy and was like, are you going to keep talking to my guys and eating, or are you going to get to work? And he was like, I'm going to keep eating. My guy said, I'm going to keep eating. So that wasn't a good call that I got from that business owner. I'm like, dude, you're representing me, like it's not your name in any of this, right? If it goes bad, it goes bad on
TXP.
me and my relationships that I've built with these people because I trusted you to do what you said you would. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just about accountability.
Why do you think people lose sight of that?
Because they don't want to be the bad guy. Like we all mess up, but people think that like when you admit to doing something wrong, that you're the bad guy for it. And
that kind of brings me around to kind of a different thing about accountability and not really understanding that you kind of represent. So if I'm one of your employees or one of your contractors and I'm on a job, I know that I represent you. Or even have you ever had somebody are all your employees contractors, or do you
1099?
All right. So it's a little different, but have you ever had a 1099 person do something away from work where you're just like, shit, man, that's not a good look for our company? And then if so, what do you think you would do with that?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I've had my guys like not show up for shoots or something that I've had to like get in front of. But yeah, I mean, can you be canceled nowadays? Like you can only be canceled
yes and no,
if you care, right? I mean, none of my guys have done anything that bad to warrant anything like that. But I mean, I think the main thing that I worry about is like, you take a guy and you teach him a lot of stuff and you build him up. Well, like in our creative world, it's like a weird mix of like people that want this position, like as a creative lead for my company, for example, right? Because if they're too good, they don't need to work for somebody like me, right? And if they are just starting and they're really looking for a job in the creative field, they're probably not good enough to work for us yet, So it's like you have to find this like Goldilocks zone of like filmers and or editors that are good enough but not busy enough, or people who just want to do one job, right? Like just want to go out and film, don't want to do any editing, don't want to mess with clients, don't want to do any of that. So I think that's been like the one of the hardest things is like building a team that still puts stuff out to my standard, because I went from a guy who was like making videos all the time from filming and editing to now being like a glorified manager most of the time,
Sure.
So I went from the creative to like this admin role, which is like another like creative internal struggle that I have. I'm not going out and filming every week and editing and like meeting people. I'm stuck behind a desk answering emails on work calls or, like that's just part of it.
It's like, hey, you want to come to the podcast? Fuck yeah, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you go about managing your team? Like, how do you keep them incentivized to stay with you? I know they're all 1099.
Yeah.
But when there's a competing interest, right? It's
Yeah.
like, hey, Tyler, I know, we got these projects, but there's this other opportunity. You know, how do you talk them, or do you even talk them out of that if they're overlapping?
Yeah, I think it's just about doing cool stuff. People want to be involved in businesses that are growing and doing cool stuff. And I think like we're not a production company where you have to be filming some kid's bar mitzvah or, like we're like we film really cool stuff, and I think that helps. In November we go out to SEMA and we're going to spend the whole week in Vegas filming for Nissan and filming for a bunch of different companies. And, my guys sometimes get to travel to go to shoots. And, I think that stuff keeps them incentivized to where they feel like they're growing, because I think the main thing is that videographers, especially when you're making social media content, there's almost this like negative, like, oh, it's going on Instagram, like you're filming vertically instead of like working on a large production with 50 people or some commercial that's going to go on TV. I feel like that is usually what's in the back of creative's mind as like the end goal.
Sure.
Right? They want to be involved. They want to be a DP or they want to be, lead gaffer or whatever, like that's the other thing when you look into like the film industry is that, for a long time, I was doing every facet of production, from the planning to the filming to the editing to setting up to all of that. And when you actually look at Hollywood or look at any sort of production, everybody only has one job.
Right.
Like you have one person who does sound, you have one person who holds the mic, you have one person who does lighting. So I think it's given me a lot of experience in general, just handling everything.
Yeah. How do you stay relevant? By posting the wins, like, hey, we just picked up 6 dealerships, because it's a very competitive space.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the next creator.
Yep.
And even kind of going back to like, hold on to the how do you stay relevant question, like keep it over here. But you were talking about maybe someone wants to do it on their own or they don't have enough experience yet. So you always like, I'm sure you have people that want to be part of your team and they just want to learn from you and then take what they've learned and go off and maybe eventually become your competitor.
Yeah.
Like I've had people in that space. It's like, hey, we're doing an event and we want these new people to come. Can you talk to them about what your methods? I mean, you helped me set this up today, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if people watching are going to see a difference, but they might. But I know it helps me and educated me.
Yeah.
Not many people have sat in front of me that I've trusted to do that.
Yeah.
You're one of those people, right? But I've also had other photographers say, no, I respectfully decline because I don't want them taking my job. This is how I make my money.
Yeah. Welcome to gatekeeping.
Yeah,
I mean, that
gatekeeping.
is gate. I mean, it's hard in the creative space, because like I've had stuff where, I'll share something I'm doing on my story, and then I'll see like a competitor just followed the people, right? And that's like, those are my clients. Like, are they trying to scoop them up on the back end or say, hey, well, we can do stuff for cheaper than TXP or whatever. So I think that's why it's hard, because like everybody in marketing is like super guarded with their clients. Like everybody wants to keep their clients, and there's a lot of options when it comes to marketing. So that is definitely, I'm conflicted, with gatekeeping in my head, because for me it's just like if you want to know something or you want to learn, then go out and do it. Like, that's what I did.
YouTube
Like
University.
I learned everything from YouTube, and you have the exact same opportunity that I do. Like, for me, it just feels like a lot of people that ask, like, they just want the easy way. You know, they just want the right now answer. What's the best camera setup? I get that question all the time. It's like, well, what are you shooting? Right? Like, you know, different camera setups are required for different projects.
Lighting, everything.
Yeah, lighting. Well, you know, what are your export settings? It's like, okay, well, what does your actual raw footage look like? Is that going to translate to this? You know, they just want like a quick answer instead of like doing the trial and error, which is what I think is like, that is the work, you know, like learning. Like, I would watch a YouTube video and then I would like be editing side by side, or I would watch a YouTube video and then try to do that on my next shoot, you know, and okay, that didn't work. This happened, whatever it is. Like, that's what helps you, not just knowing the right thing that somebody else did. I mean, I'm sure it's like same with podcasts, right?
Dude, it is. And I've reached out and offered a lot of what I know. I say, guys, I don't know everything, but there's what I've learned. And most of it is from, you know, YouTube
Trial
University,
and error, yeah.
you know, and trial and error. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with that thing over that grid over there, because I realize I've just used this thing, which used to be over there for months because they had a grid on each person. And all the sound dampening in this room is from online. It's kind of the same deal, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, people learn different ways, because you don't want to be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, but you want to help people, but you don't want to help them too much, because at the end of the day, it's your livelihood.
I don't think that it's going to like affect my clients or like there's enough clients and work to go around for everybody. You know what? If I help,
I like that mindset.
If I help this kid with his camera settings or whatever, like, that's not going to affect my business. If anything, he's going to have more like affection towards me for like being able to actually like help him. I do think that you're going to get more out of helping people than is ever going to take away, especially when you're talking about the scale of social media in the United States. Like, I'm not just focusing on Arizona businesses, you know, I want to be focused on national, you know, global stuff. So, you know, if I help somebody out in Arizona, you know, I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, I love that mindset, because on a grand scale, you're 100% correct, right? It's like, maybe you have your clientele, and clients do have a limited number.
Yeah.
But as far as success online, success on YouTube, social media, it's like, okay, either I'm going to follow you and this guy, but I'm not going to stop following this guy because I like your stuff better.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing when you have a YouTube channel. You know, I talked to my friend John Rivers about that. It's like, if I'm asking you for something, don't gatekeep, because there are a shit ton of people out there consuming this content.
Yeah.
The two of us represent less than a fraction of the smallest percentage of a percent of anybody who ever watches YouTube.
Yeah.
So stop gatekeeping. And I just wish more people had that mindset.
Yeah, but there's a flip side to it, right? Because you see like Monterey Car Week, and you see GAT, right? Gatlinburg, and those events. And, you know, we're talking about different subjects. We're talking about like knowledge versus like events. But, you know, the car scene right now is kind of in like a weird spot. It's like, can we have anything nice? You know, like Gatlinburg, like slammed enough Gatlinburg, can't go back there.
Yeah.
You saw what happened Monterey Car Week. It was all TikTok kids with their cell phones, and like it's like this weird balance between like clout chasing and like actually like making the content. You know, I don't want to feel bad because I'm out there with my camera filming something either that I'm like paid to or that I think's gonna do well. But I'm a professional, you know. I'm not just putting this on my Snapchat. I'm not asking them to go do burnouts. Like, I don't know. It's like gatekeeping. That's why I'm so conflicted, because like I feel like some things like probably need it, because I'm not sure if our community can handle it.
Yeah, it's all about who can grab the most viral vid versus who's actually trying to do it. I mean, you guys are doing it. Your team is doing it. A lot of the people you described as who can catch the viral vid. It's the same person that records someone getting their ass beat.
Yeah.
Instead of calling the police or trying to find help.
Yeah.
And when you look around and there's 30 people doing it, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, and it's so funny because we blame like the people that are doing the burnouts and the people that are participating in it, but like we never hold the spectators accountable.
Right.
The spectators are surrounding all the cars. They're telling them to, you know,
they're encouraging it,
rev it up.
It's like drink. Essentially, it's drink at a party, right?
And you know this guy has an ego. He's in his $150,000 sports car, right? Like, you know that we like to show off. So what's going to happen? Like, boys are going to be boys, you know? So That's why I have an event coming up in December at VQuiva, and that's just like a park and chill type show where we're just going to try and show the best cars.
How do you? So you went from kind of the tuner, annoying your neighbor, but how do you care as much about what you're filming? And this is kind of a deeper question.
Yeah,
it's easy to answer on the surface level, right?
Yeah.
But what kind of gets you going? Like, what do you do? And we'll kind of go back, and I ask you like this whole myriad of questions just to confuse you, I guess. But kind of going back to now being the manager of other talent, it's almost the same deal. Like, do you just step away and do stuff just for you, or are you just filming this just for you?
Yeah, recently I started just going out and doing passion projects. Like, I mean, I flew to Colorado and filmed Masters. Influencer, right? Car guy. He has a twin turbo bagged Lincoln, and it's just an insanely sick car that I wanted to film. And I just hit him up. I was like, hey, I'm down to come out. I don't need to charge you anything. Just let's meet up and film it. So it's definitely giving me the freedom to go do that. But I mean, I have 2 kids also, so I mean, I can't be just traveling and
3 and 10, 3 and 9,
3 and 9,
3 and 9.
Yeah, both girls. So and they love cars too, so that's really cool. Taking them to meets, and I took my 9-year-old to Cars and Coffee and had her taking pictures and trying to like just touch their toes in it without like forcing them to do anything. But yeah, it's.
How are you managing that work-life balance? That's a question I was thinking about earlier when I was in the kitchen before you got here.
Yeah.
Because you got the 3 and 9-year-old, you are TXP Media, you're the head of this.
Yeah.
And even, when you take the 9-year-old to Cars and Coffee, I would imagine people know who you are to a sense. Like, how do you manage that? Because I invited my grandson, and he keeps saying no, and one day he's going to say yes.
Yeah.
But then when I go to these events, like the Strad Pizza one the other day, I'm like, man, he'd be so bored because I just sit here and talk to people the whole time.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
I mean,
because you have clients that are there, prospective clients,
Yeah.
The wanting your time that may not necessarily respect that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this career has definitely allowed me to like be more in their life than I would have if I had a 9 to 5. That's one thing.
Yeah.
My fiance, she's a stay-at-home mom, and she's had the last 3 years with our 3-year-old. So I think like having a strong partner is number one, where you can like really count on them to pick the kids up, or I'm editing late, and whatever the case is, I think that is like number one. Work-life balance is like making sure you have a good partner. But then just making sure that like the time, my biggest problem, one of my biggest things is that I'm probably not as present as I should be all the time. Like,
It's hard.
I'm attached to my phone because that's my source of income. Like there have been plenty of times where I missed a call and I missed a job, or, I missed a DM for hours and then they never respond or whatever. I feel like that's like the mental thing that like keeps me attached to it. But I mean, that's also why golf is like my number one hobby, and I like Legos because it's completely analog and completely separated from screens. But like, yeah, work, family life, just making sure that we're going on trips and then we're making like actual memories. It's not, I'm not trying to buy them everything, but I sure as hell want them to have a lot of fun.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's difficult, man. And you said a strong partner is key, right? Because I know that like my wife knows all the stuff that I do, but I still think that and I've accused her of this recently. In her mind, I think that it's what I do, even for my day job, isn't as important as what she does. So it's kind of hard to get them to understand that, hey, Tyler's editing. Why can't you just drop what you're doing and go pick up the groceries? Or why can't you just drop what you're doing? And it's like, I can't. This is a livelihood. Like,
or it's, are you doing anything today? And it's like, yeah, I'm working. You know, like I should be expected Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, to be able to be in my office and be working. Just because daddy's home doesn't mean daddy's home.
1,000%. And I think it's just it's what you do is so non-traditional.
Yeah.
Because even like we said earlier, creatives have always been around, but they've been in the office, in the creation center, or in the marketing section of big corp.
Yeah.
Very few independently doing it at home. And I bet you that's a struggle that people have had to deal with for decades.
Well, it's hard for me too to like be like, oh, I'm so tired. I was filming race cars and I was in race cars all day. And it's like, it's like, that's fun stuff. Like I might be exhausted while although it was still fun. You know, like that's hard too, because what I do, it's like I'm not a blue collar dude who's out there laying tile on a roof. Like, what right do I have to say like today was hard? You know?
It's relative. I hear you. Even with my day job, I rarely have a bad day. So then when my wife is stressed out, but then I have things that could stress me out.
Yeah.
It's just rarely that it happens. But then, you can spend all day at the racetrack doing all that kind of stuff. The 3 and 9-year-old don't care.
Yeah.
So there's that, right? So it's like, hey, you want to play with me? And you're like,
Daddy's tired.
Daddy's tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have like Zeke, and I talk about him sometimes. He's our 7-year-old grandson. And I will have just pulled into the garage from driving back from, I don't know, Long Beach or something, and not 2 seconds in the door.
Yeah.
Hey, Pop, you play with me? I'm like,
hey, but isn't it such a blessing to have those problems though? Like that.
It is.
That for me is one thing where I'm like, dang, and I do this all the time where I'm driving back from shoots or something. I'm like, man, I am so happy that I get to be tired from this day.
Absolutely.
You know, there are so many people who wish that they could go out and have the exact same day as me. Like, they wish that they could be front row filming something, or that they could get a ride along in this car to do what I'm doing. So I just try to stay positive and put it in perspective.
I'll have to find the post, and you basically remind me of it, and it's awesome, and it has something to do with, isn't it nice to like want all the stuff and whatnot, and be nice? Isn't it nice to be tired of doing what you've always wanted?
That hit me.
Oh, you saw that? Yeah, that was awesome, right?
Yeah.
But like with the little kids though, it's so traditionally for years I was gone like 5 days a week.
Oh shit.
Right, because I was healthcare IT. I was just gone. I would just fly out. I'd fly out every Sunday, and I'd come home really late on Thursday night. Sometimes, rarely Friday morning. And so I missed a lot of the kids growing up. I was just around them during the weekend, and so now I don't travel as much. And it's funny because I don't do car events as much either. Now I have no real excuse, but I'm sitting right here, working. But it's one of those deals where I could only tell the kid no so many times before I'm like, fuck, let me just say yes.
Yeah.
Play with them for 30, 45 minutes, knowing that it's going to put me 7 hours compacted behind on my normal schedule. And it just is what it is. And we know that sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it's a good trade-off, but sometimes other people don't necessarily appreciate.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to come out in your kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we might not see it at this moment when we play with them about how much it means, but when they actually grow up to be a good person, or they develop those relationships with their kids, then that's, I think, when it pays dividends. Me personally, I never had like that vision about having kids and getting married, and that's just like wasn't my focus and my mindset. So like I don't know, I feel conflicted also, because I'm like, dang, I'm doing a lot of work and I'm not really with them. But then I like step back and I'm like, well, if I had a 9 to 5, I would see them way less, like I feel like it's way more impactful for us, and I'm not one of those people. Like, I don't like the baby stage. I was not a fan of that. Even, my youngest now, they grow up so fast, like enjoy it. I'm like, please, like I feel like I'm going to regret that eventually, but I don't know. I just have had like kind of blinders on. So like when I try to do family time, I just try and take it off and like.
Yeah, it's a bigger deal now for your 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Huge deal. Your 3-year-old, not as big of a deal, but it feels good to you as well, right? Because then you treasure that, because you saw it with your 9-year-old. They get there fast.
Yeah.
Because one of ours she's going to be 2 soon. The other one's going to be 3 soon. And all they want to do, yeah.
Oh, that's different.
Grandkids.
That's different.
It is, but it is, but it isn't, because I really wasn't around the older kids that much, early on.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of this is kind of like first time for me with the 7-year-old, the 2.5-year-old, the 1.5-year-old, and we got a 7-month-old too. Dang. Right? Yeah. And usually they're all here hanging out. But now it's weird, because the 2.5-year-old and the 1.5-year-old, all they want to do, well, not all they want to do, but one of the things they look forward to when they're coming over here is I'm their gateway upstairs. You saw that gate downstairs?
Yeah.
And so I know it doesn't really mean anything to them that I'm bringing them upstairs, but it means something to me that they want me to bring them upstairs, So I'm kind of watching them interact with each other and play with me, knowing that at that age, it doesn't really mean as much.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely love my kids more than anything. It makes me happy that they want to play with me, because if they're just in their room or just doing whatever, I'm like,
which they will be at some point.
And the 9-year-old's getting there.
Yep.
It's already happening. But for me, I don't want to put like how my childhood was and like substitute that for what hers should be, because like I feel like a lot of kids now and like a lot of parents, like I understand it, like demonizing the screen and like saying to get off the screen and this and that, but it's like that's what their generation is around. And if
I agree with that.
If they're deprived from those social norms or those whatever, like I don't think that's really going to help them socially. They're going to be the weird kid that doesn't watch YouTube or whatever. And maybe you don't need, I don't necessarily want my kid to like fit in all of those boxes that like other kids think that they should, but I also don't want them to just like immediately be an outcast or whatever. It's like,
that's an excellent point though. And I don't know if I've heard many people or anyone actually say that, but those are thoughts. It's like, okay, you always hear people say, well, my kid's not going to be sitting on the iPad all day. And then there's a point to that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if that's what everyone else is doing, you have to let them do it. Maybe you don't have to let them do it all day, but you don't want them to be the odd
it's
man
like,
out.
what if I grew up as a kid and my parents said that you can never play video games? Like that would have robbed me from a lot of, my core childhood now and how I connected with friends and, how I blow off steam now. But that would be like, just because they saw video games as a way to keep kids inside and this and that. Like I'm sure there are tons of parents that had that perspective, right? Like my kid's not going to touch video games, but like I don't think that would have helped me.
You just have to watch what they're watching. That's
there's
the
some
big
messed
thing
up
right
stuff
now. There's
nowadays
a lot of messed up things
with
that people,
AI.
Well, AI and just programming. Like there's a lot of shows, without getting too deep into the weeds, there's a lot of kids programming that if you just
Cocomelon.
Cocomelon's bad. Like if
horrible.
you sit there and you watch it, you're like, what the f are they watching? Like, hold up. What did they just say?
Yeah.
What are they trying to do? Like just the days of, and I'm a little older than you are, but the days of like Smurfs, something like purely innocent, they're gone.
I go back though and I look at Johnny Bravo from Cartoon Network.
That's crazy, yeah. But even
Dude,
that was like a teen show, sort of.
Was it though? I was watching that at like 8, 9, and he's super sexist. Like if you watch that stuff now, there's no way that that cartoon would have been.
You can look at him and
released.
know he is.
I mean, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like there was some like messed up kind of
I guess you're right.
stuff that like when I look at the stuff now, I try to think back like, okay, is this worse than when I was playing GTA when I was 8, 9? Like. I don't know.
I think you just have to be there, right? You have to just be conscious of it.
You have to set them up for success.
Yep.
You have to teach them the right things because you're not always going to be there. And they have to be able to say, okay, this is not okay. Like, there's a lot of... I've seen some stuff just scrolling on Facebook that has traumatized me, right? Stuff that I would never thought that I would see. Like people literally getting,
Yeah. And it almost brings me back to the whole TikTok thing, right? Where you see a viral clip on like say X, right? Mm-hmm. And you can see the little TikTok thing in the corner. You're like, how the hell did this make it through TikTok? When if I give the camera the wrong look, TikTok doesn't show my video to anybody. Like I just don't understand. But back to AI, we talked about that really earlier.
Yeah.
Especially with Sora being the most recent Sora AI, which is a ChatGPT product or OpenAI product. Now the videos look so real unless it's SpongeBob running from the cops.
Yeah.
If people don't know what they're looking at and that watermark's not there, like how crazy is that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a turning point because like now, we used to be able to look at our phone or look at a video and like know that that's true for the most part, right? Like Will Smith eating spaghetti was like a couple years ago, the AI video. And like now you can't just look at your phone as an objective truth, right? Like you have to question every Weirdly. When I watch a crazy video now, I literally look to make sure that it's not AI, or I'm looking for like extra fingers or whatever to pop up. I think like I'm a little scared for like the future of that and like open source versions of that can obviously manipulate stuff for like CP or, maybe somebody eventually is going to run a scam operation where just because my face is all over the internet, they can generate a video of me cheating on my wife and then send it to her and blackmail her and like, oh, hey, send me this money and I'll send you these videos.
6 months ago, they could do that, but it doesn't really look like you, and it's obvious, right? Now,
dude,
it looks just like you.
Yeah, especially if you're not our generation. Like, I mean, I'm scared. I'm probably gonna get scammed at some point. I'm not even a boomer. Like, I'm scared for my grandma and like those people. I mean,
yeah, that lady downstairs right now, she shows us some of the craziest fucking videos. We're like, Mom, that
it's
is
fake.
so fake.
And they're like, how do you know?
Yeah,
That's always their answer. Or no, it's not. Like they almost refuse to believe it because it's like, I'm seeing it with my eyes. And before, that's always told me that that's true. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of weird stuff when it comes with AI and all the safeguards that they need to put on it, not just for video, but like for everything. I don't know if you've seen the whole AI 2027 stuff about, U.S. competing against China and how if they don't. Did you see the study where AI blackmailed the CEO?
No, I don't think so.
So they ran this test across all of the major language models, right? Where they basically put this language model inside of a business server where it could read emails.
Was it the one that denied even doing it?
I'm not sure if it denied it, but they basically gave it access to read all emails, reply, respond, search queues, everything. And they made up a scenario where like they had the CEO or the fake CEO emailing somebody having a fake affair, right? And then they also had the CEO email the IT department and say, hey, we have a new language model. It's going to be uploaded tomorrow. This old one's going to be shut off. It was like 8 or 9 times out of 10, the AI used the CEO's affair as blackmail so that it wouldn't be shut off. So like, I just think that there's a lot of things that like we need to make sure of before AI gets crazy.
That might be it. I mean, was it maybe 8 months ago?
Yeah, I don't know what's scarier is because like the stuff that we have now, the government has like 10 times better, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what scares me is like the stuff we're seeing on Sora and all that stuff. That's
all level, or that's all version like 0.1,
and they're on 2 point whatever.
Right.
They're very far ahead of us, I think, and like I think that's what's scarier.
So that's generating like generative AI. How do you think? In what ways do you think AI would benefit your industry? We obviously know how it would hurt it.
We use it. I mean, I think that people who are against using it are just like in too old of thinking. It's like
they're in the Terminator's taking over, but there's so many uses of AI, not just to make a video, but to help edit.
I mean, I guess for me, it's like, okay, if you were, what do they call the people that used to run the switchboards for calls?
Switchboard operator.
If you were one of those people, would you be mad that they're releasing the telephone?
Right. Probably.
I mean, the telephone's way better, right? You could call and put a hit on somebody. You can do a lot of bad things with the telephone.
Switchboard dispatcher, one of those
dispatcher,
things.
Yeah. Yep. The phone's just better than a dispatcher, So for me, it's like you're almost choosing the dispatcher instead of using the phone if you're not using AI right now. Because like this podcast, I don't know if you use Autopod, but Autopod can edit this whole thing in 10 minutes. Cut out all the mess. It can place it. It can at least get you 80% of the way there to where you have a base and then you can go in and tweak and move stuff around.
Which is a huge time saver.
Yeah.
And you brought Autopod out. And I had it written down somewhere and forgot all about it. You just brought it up. But, so thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use, I'm an Adobe guy. So Adobe has Adobe Podcast AI.
Yep.
And it's on version 2 something. And I've been using it off and on, but now I don't have to. I have to run this through the filters in Audition less because now my final thing is always Podcast AI because that'll get rid of some of those things, and I'm just like, all right, cool. Yeah. But that's a good. I used a speaker split. That's an AI thing.
Yeah,
I don't need it for in here, but there's times where I do need speaker split when I'm getting one file with 2 different voices.
Yeah.
And that's AI. So people don't realize the productivity. And your example was an excellent example about the switchboard dispatcher because I'm in healthcare IT and we used to have, there was a whole career path for people who call it our jobs for transcriptionists. They take the radiologist recording on the phone and they type what the radiologist says.
Completely meaningless job.
If
you can automate it.
People don't use transcriptionists anymore.
Yeah.
Rarely.
It's going to be a really rude awakening for our workforce in general. I mean, I think you've seen the whole job openings versus profits. Profits are way up, but they're cutting jobs because
Yeah.
I mean, in the AI's defense, like we just made a better tool. You know,
Yeah.
like did you get mad at the car factories when they started
just thinking that
when they started
robots
using
building
robots to
cars.
produce
I
it?
was
Like
literally just thinking that.
it's just a better thing,
Yeah.
you know? Like, and there are a ton of media and like data entry, receptionist, like things that now we've made a tool for that can use. And those people, unfortunately, that don't have a skill set or don't have like a specific thing that they know are going to be out. Meanwhile, I think like plumbers, electricians, like all of those
Trades.
like, all those trade works are going to shoot way up because like that I think is like you have to wait for like the whole robot reconnaissance to even like think about
Yeah.
a robot plumber coming to your house or
Yeah.
or a whatever. But and in the end, like people want to demonize AI, but AI can't actually make anything. Like behind that video that you saw was a prompt that a
Yeah.
human put in to make that piece of content. So that's why like people are like,
At least for now.
oh, well but people are just saying like, aren't you scared that AI is going to take your job? I'm like, have you met a business owner? Like
Right.
they are so laser focused on their mission. They can't even upload a photo to Instagram correctly. You think that they're going to be able to use some sort of AI platform that they understand
Correct.
nothing about? You know, ChatGPT has obviously made the use case and eases the use case is very easy, right? So where now you have grandparents that are using ChatGPT and you have like a lot more integration. But I think when you get into like the real weeds of like AI agents and AI content and like if you make that video, you still have to know a lot about photography. You have to like frame it like 50 millimeter shot with cinematic colors and you have to tell it all of these things where if you're not experienced, you don't necessarily know how to make a good video.
It's funny you say that because I was going through the prompts in my head as you said that, and that nail on the head that you have to know what you're talking about, because I could ask Grok or Gemini or ChatGPT or any of those to create something for me, and I never would have thought 50 millimeter shot at f-stop this. I'll know to put, which my mother-in-law wouldn't know, my wife wouldn't know. I know to say, midday, early
And then
afternoon,
give a scene.
and give a scene,
Yeah.
and then evaluate it. If I like it, if I don't, I don't. But to your point, you still have to have the knowledge going in on what you're looking for, and I think that human element, especially in a career like yours, is never going to change.
Yeah.
And there's going to be new industries made. I mean,
100%.
the whole thing with the Amazon delivery drivers I said earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is like our .com boom, right?
It
like
is.
if you're not interested or finding out a way that you can make money with AI, then I just think that you're just like off the train in general. Like there are so many different use cases, so many different ways that you could just improve your own workflows or improve whatever it is. It's just like a weird, like scary but exciting place to be in.
Let's
What
go
do you
back.
think about AI?
What do I think about AI? I pretty much what you think. I think it can be dangerous. I think there's an argument is, do we need to have certain guidelines on it? And right now, I think the most strict guideline is it needs to be watermarked. I think it always has to be watermarked.
Okay, here's a scarier situation, okay? A rogue AI language model or whatever supercomputer they put it in gets out, right? Whatever, copies itself to a file,
Some
exports itself.
Jarvis shit.
and they end up, creating a secret bunker where they build a bio weapon that is literally paid for off siphoned funds, and all of it is run behind some blackface AI, right? Like, I mean, it could transfer data. It can get access to anything it wants. It can siphon funds. It could, like, I don't know. That for me is just where like drone warfare and
all that shit. It's crazy and it's weird, but it's here.
yeah.
And, what are we going to do to make sure it's, I guess, regulated is the term I was looking for, but there's only so much regulation you can do. There's going to be, our regulations aren't going to be the same thing as China's regulations or as Israel's regulations. The geopolitically, we can't really control anybody else's regulations, and that's the danger of it. I think it's like cyber warfare now. I have a computer science degree, and in cyber warfare, there's a war behind the war that people don't know about, and that's the cyber warheads. That's why people are continuously trying to take down our grid, and we're continuously fighting, to
keep it up.
To keep it up.
Yeah.
And I think AI is going to be the same thing for the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
On the consumer level, I think it's just going to be a benefit. but I think we still have to be careful.
I mean, quantum computers and being able to literally crack encrypted passwords in seconds and stuff that would have taken tens of years. Like that stuff, I think, is where you get into like really crazy data security of everybody on the planet. Social security numbers, logins, like.
Well, that's the thing. For everybody trying to crack that, there's a team of people that are a step behind or a step ahead, and it's constantly going back and forth. So.
Yeah,
that's kind of
from
thoughts.
The IT side, though, what do you think about like where that's going to take us? Like, what can you do as IT to like make an impenetrable barrier that AI can't get through?
It's just it's network security essentially at the end of the day, because they're generating, and that's not, I don't do network security, but that's really what it is, and that's no different than the example of the cyber warheads that I was talking about, trying to take the grid down. But you can use AI tools obviously to make your work easier. For what I do, it's incredibly advanced, but it's also incredibly antiquated in some parts. And it's like, okay, guys, can we develop something that makes this part easier? Because there's no reason why it's this way now. And, can we develop something that, gets rid of this because this is dumb as hell? So I think that when we hear AI, it's such a vague, broad thing, right? It's like when I say
it's like a trigger word now.
Yeah, well, like when I say I'm in healthcare IT, people are like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, my mouse won't connect." I'm like, "Yeah, that's desktop support."
That's what came into my mind. It's like network. Hey, can you fix my Wi-Fi?
Right, exactly. That's desktop support. Or that's whatever support. What I do is EMR, is electronic medical records, and very specifically a radiology portion on a very specific software package system. But as far as all the other stuff, but saying AI is almost like saying IT at this point, right?
Yeah.
So
we've also had AI for a long time. We just called it algorithm.
Yeah, honestly.
Like I mean, a lot of the stuff that companies have, like with the chat bots, like I mean, you could message Amazon support and get an automated agent. How long ago? That was AI. That was a language model. That was
a very limited language model, but you're correct. And now it's a much more advanced, but it's still.
I just don't think that people know that, like, we're getting stuff that they've had already. And this stuff is just being repackaged a lot of times and is now consumer available when they've been using it.
All the buzzwords, right? All those things. People have been talking about the cloud for 12 years at least. And then the commercials are all about the cloud. Now you don't hear about that anymore, but it's the same. People are like, well, where's the cloud? Well, no, it's a fucking server.
Yeah.
It's an array of servers.
But what do you think that this whole AI infrastructure and all this is going to do to like data centers and like, because that's the big whole new thing is data centers.
I think it's the same response as I had before, honestly. I mean, it's just another computer technology that's out there, and it's going to have AI. I think they're going to use AI to, on the good end, find the holes and exploits and say, okay, I just ran through your system. Here's the 6 places you need to shore up.
Yeah.
Versus go through and find the holes and destroy everything, aka virus.
Yeah, I think I'm just a little pessimistic when it comes to like, our leaders doing the right thing, because our system is just so controlled by puppet strings and like say AI could make a cure for cancer. Do you think Big Pharma would let that come out?
No, absolutely not.
So that's why I almost
because it's a disruptor.
Yeah. Or if we had some other alternative to alcohol or whatever it is, whatever they're making money off of is just what always scares me. And that's just why I think, like, I don't know if we're ready for the tech. Because I'm not sure personally that humans as a whole do the right thing or that they can,
Everything's driven by self-interest. That's in some level. Some people's self-interest is greater than the others. A corporation's self-interest is greater than the others. And I agree with you. Big Pharma makes a lot of money, and it's weird. I have a section called Conspiracy Corner, so we may have to do that at some point. We can't do it right now.
Building 7. No,
Exactly. We can't do that right now, but at some point, as an Easter egg to people, at some point, this guy may be one of the. Because the thing is, we never say who the person is. And I make it look kind of like an old school throwback where I change the voice and just make it look stupid. Nice. And it's just 10 minutes of just fun shit.
Just
don't get me canceled, Yeah, actually, the logo is a tinfoil hat.
Hell yeah.
I'll text it to you. You're just going to
Nice.
laugh. It's a
Yeah.
version of this.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, every logo is a version of that. I actually thought about wearing it. But I mean, there's always going to be something out there. And there's always things that are driven by self-interest. Anything that's revolutionary is an industry disruptor. And an industry disruptor, people just disappear.
Yeah.
And it's just like, for everybody who says we're nutty tinfoil hat people, said, okay, explain to me what happened to Tyler Patterson once he said this. Mm-hmm. He just weirdly just disappeared.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing about the White House chefs? Like, there's this weird thing about how the White House chefs... No, depending on the president, the last 4 or 5 White House chefs...
I know one guy drowned in 2 inches of water or something.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's
weird.
Okay to be skeptical of our government when
100%.
you find some
Question everything.
Yeah, of course.
And there's people who don't, and you don't have to be obsessed about it. Some people are, but it's okay. It's okay to question things and check different sources of different news, I guess, and different communications. So
yeah, I think that's going back to social media. That's one of the weird things. Just seeing the comment section on any video is usually one of the most toxic things that you can ever experience. People all have an opinion. Some people are just absolutely stupid. Some people don't have a brain to think for themselves. It's crazy to think
and some people are bots.
And they're right next to you. Those people who don't have internal monologues are just walking around amongst you and
Well, it's funny you say that because I say that the pandemic smoked a lot of people out. So if you just pay attention on Facebook at the time, you're like, wow, I know this person. Wow, they feel that way.
Yeah.
That's crazy, and it's just
yeah.
I think it's the controversy exposes people.
Oh, look at Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, me and you love cars, we're going to love cars, but, we've hung out at the car meet a few times, but, now I know you hate XXXXX, and that happens to be, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's crazy that people can't, still be friends and have differing opinions anymore.
1,000%.
You have to either completely agree with somebody or disagree, or you just can't even coincide, right? That's, I think, is what we're getting worse at, is just all the division,
Yeah, I mean, you brought that up, and we don't have to talk about it, but what do you think about that whole situation with Charlie Kirk?
I mean, put on the tinfoil hat again, with everything coming out about all the weird stuff that's surrounding it. I mean, it just gives
there's a lot of weird swirl on it.
Another thing to question in general.
But just in a box prior to the tinfoil hat,
I mean, it sucks, right? Left or right, anybody to get killed for your views or whatever. I mean, it sucks. Yeah. I mean, I try to stay away from politics, almost completely, because I hate both sides. I think that our system is just messed up, and I don't think that the way that we do it is good anymore. I don't think it makes sense in this day and age. Maybe it did back in the 1800s or whatever, but
how dare you say that?
Yeah, I know and that's what's hard, because I align with a lot of people on the right about a lot of stuff, and then I align with people on the left about a lot of stuff, and I think that's what the hardest to me is why should somebody be so radically one way or the other when they're of power, right?
It's not black and white, and it's weird to me that people have that thought. It's you can be a conservative with progressive views.
Yeah.
And you can be a progressive, so left of center with some conservative views. And
but in the end, you're either a Republican or a Democrat, which sucks, right? You get boxed into...
You get boxed into one of or an independent, which people just look at you and you're like, yeah, you just don't want to tell us what you are.
Then it doesn't matter, right? Then then it doesn't matter. So,
it's crazy, right? It's someone very close to me the other day was reading something, and they go, "Oh, I really like that." And I go, "What is that?" And they were reading a quote from a famous actor, and they had said something about the Kirk thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh," I go, "Well, what do you think about that?" And they're like, "Yeah, well, this person, this guy was hate, and he yelled at people." I said, "No, he didn't." I go, "I've watched enough to know it, and regardless, you don't have to agree with everyone, but the algorithm that this person followed was feeding them clips, and that's how it is on both sides."
Yeah.
And so I've sent them videos of people watching and responding too, trying to be as non-partisan about it, as moderate as about it, and I don't know if they've watched it. They probably not, but
Yeah.
it sucks that you can have such a strong opinion about something without actually knowing anything about it.
And did you see there was some TikTok study or something about how TikTok is like rage baiting people based on the comments and based on your algorithm. So basically, depending on your views or the algorithm, if you load into a video, it might show you different comments first.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you might have like stuff that either supports your views or maybe it's the most rage baity thing, right? But I think that's also what's hard with social media is that in the end, it's all about self-preservation for them, and they want as many eyes as on the screen for as long as possible. Like that is their business
Which
model.
is the echo chamber approach.
And I mean, you can't blame them. They're making millions and millions of dollars off of advertising. So like until something else comes and changes it up, maybe it's VR, right? And maybe that I still don't know if that's ever gonna get to the place that people think
for a long time.
Like for a long time. And like now we're just getting, like the Meta AR screen and stuff like that. I think that there's just like a big pushback from like going all in on digital. People think that we're like too connected to the net and we need to get off their phones. There's like this whole anti-internet movement too.
To your point, to your faults, you're married to your phone, right? And so it's kind of one of those deals. And my wife will tell you I'm always on my phone. I'm not always on my phone.
Yeah.
She's always on her phone in those TikTok videos and stuff like that. But I know there's a time when, you have to put the phone down and just watch the programming on TV.
For sure.
For entertainment. You can't, and a lot of people do both.
Yeah.
But I'm convinced you cannot binge a show and be on your phone, because you're going to miss things that are important, right?
Of course.
But that's a part of it, man. We're just addicted to all that kind of stuff.
They made it addicting, though. It's like, can you blame us as consumers for being addicted to something that you engineered to be addictive?
I forgot who the guest was at the time, but I brought this up, and I'm going to butcher it again, but I want to say it's the social dilemma. Mm-hmm. I want to say it's the social dilemma. Have you seen that? I think it's on Netflix. It basically just talks about everything you just said as far as Facebook at one point was doing that. I mean, it just, based on what you watch, it just feeds you something else.
Of course.
And then you end up
down this rabbit hole.
You end up being steered a certain way and have no idea that's happening.
Sometimes I have to like, I don't know if you do this too, but you ever get stuck, like the algorithm sometimes knows like when you're in a bad mood. Like I'll be fighting with my girl or something, I'll be on TikTok, I'll just get like served up these like relationship advice videos, right? And then you watch one or two of them.
And that's all you get.
And then that's all you get, right? Yeah. So then I have to start like training my own algorithms. I don't want that anymore. I want to get back to the cars. And then, land on a car video, stop and watch it. Even if I don't want to watch it, I'm training my algorithm for that. Because I think that is the biggest thing actually to people where they say like the internet is such a bad place. It's like, yeah, you're watching bad content on it. And so it just feeds that to you. It feeds you the stuff that you're going to go in the comments and hate reply to because you don't agree with it. Or
you have control.
Yeah.
You have more control than you think you have.
Yeah.
You just have to understand that you're being steered, right?
And like my algorithm, I mean, would I go back and change it for no phone? Absolutely not, because it's put me into this place.
My phone is my life outside of my physical life.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I definitely think there's a balance because I get on it too much, and sometimes I'll just find myself picking up my phone just to check an app, and it's just like subconscious now. I can almost like.
But you catch yourself doing it.
I catch it, but I still can't stop myself though.
You're like, what the fuck?
I still, and
it's like I don't know if you've ever had the point where you're like maybe you live by yourself or you just keep going back and forth and opening the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whatever's there is still going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of one of those deals.
Yeah, and I mean, but also, so to your point where you're like, my wife says I'm always on my phone, but she actually is. I think this is like one of the things that maybe gets me a little upset about how my partner uses her phone is that when I'm on my phone, yeah, sometimes I might be watching entertaining videos, but a lot of times I'm responding to somebody in a text for work, or I'm learning something from a video. I'm consuming some piece of content that's actually going to help me versus be like a brain rot. Like I'm not just there scrolling TikTok for hours looking for mindless, funny videos. I'm looking for audio to use for our next video. I'm looking for an idea that I thought was really good and trendy. I'm seeing what new trends are even happening in like the ecosystem of social media. So It's hard.
Very similar, right? Because it's the same deal where I might be looking for something specific, or I'm responding to somebody. And I said it's different when I'm sending voice notes to somebody and having a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone, but I'm literally communicating with a real person
Yeah.
in my life about stuff. It's not just sitting there going like this.
Yeah.
But that's just what people do,
If I was on my computer right here typing an email, you probably wouldn't have that same perception of me just scrolling on my phone versus,
Yeah.
watching TikToks for 8 hours. Like, what did you do?
Let me ask you this. For people who want to get to where you're at, what would you tell them? What's the number one advice you think you would give to somebody who's like, hey, I see what you guys are doing at TXP Media.
Yeah. I would say
I want to do that.
Sit down and, I'm a big, pen and paper, write stuff, I don't do notes a lot. So, physically writing stuff really helps me. So I would go down and I would say write a list of all of the things that you like, right? Like hiking, football, video games, whatever. Find something that you have the most knowledge about and just literally start making content. Just start making stuff and just put it out there. And just see where it takes you. We're in the content jackpot right now to where you can have a brand new page and just go do 2 million views on a video if you have a good enough perspective or whatever. You used to have to have a cinema camera and a whatever to make really cool content. I really don't think people care as much about that anymore.
I don't think they do either.
You look at Cletus McFarlane or Whistling Diesel, and they still use iPhones to film their content. It feels more grounded. It doesn't feel like it has as much production value. So, using the whole gear excuse isn't a thing. Anybody has a phone now. Anybody can go download CapCut and just edit from their phone. It's honestly surprising at how good the editing tools are on mobile now. Niche down, find a specific thing or 1 or 2 pillars of content that you really know about, and then just try stuff, right? And then also it's go out and meet people. I never would have.
That part is a big part.
I never would have had any sort of social standing or people hitting me up for videos if the 5 years before that I wasn't on Facebook every day, just being interactive with people, because I think that is why so many people just interact with me, because their algorithm, I would interact with them. It's not hard if you're scrolling past Facebook to just actually like somebody's post or comment on it and say, good job, bro. I'm really how many times are you scrolling past Facebook and
or mute them.
Yeah. And you never do anything with that, but that's how you actually build those personal connections. Having somebody's name pop up on their notification, say Tyler Patterson commented on this. If I can get my name in front of as many people, whether it's a comment or not, that I'm just going to still be top of mind whenever it comes up, So meet people, niche down, figure out what you know most about, and then just you have to have the quantity to find the quality. So you have to try a bunch of stuff to figure out what works and to pivot into that.
You know what? I love that answer. It's the same deal. You don't need all of this to do a podcast.
Yeah.
A lot of this is because it motivates me to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's for my psyche than anything else. Because to your point, I've seen podcasts that have just shitty cameras, shitty mics that constantly peak above zero, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I hate it more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
But they're going to have 700,000 views because it's about the content too.
Yeah.
Not just the quality. So I think that's important. Tyler Patterson.
It's been great.
TXP_media.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you so much for coming by Hard Parking. I appreciate you. And, let's going to stay in contact.
Yeah.
We know some of the same people.
Till conspiracy time.
That's right. We're not going to tell people when.
No.
But, yeah, I can't wait. It'll be fun.
It's good to see you, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, another month, another closing. If you like what you heard today or like what you watched today, if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you go and tell a friend all about it. I want to thank our sponsors, Right Honda and Right Toyota, SparkForge AI from Marcus Foundry, one login, one platform, all under your control, AutoCannon officially licensed Honda and Accurate gear. Can't forget Patreon business supporter, Kuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida, Automotive Specialty Tool out of Owings Mills, Maryland, The Lucky Brakes out of Caledonia, Michigan, Beak House Small Home Design out of Ashburn, Virginia, and Traverse City, Michigan, and Shaping Success Treasure Valley out of Boise, Idaho. If you're in a position to help the podcast upgrade, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/hardparkingpodcast, or you can become a member on YouTube There's a buy me a coffee option there. If you want to support the show, if you get value, if this is one of your favorite shows to watch, why not support it? Special thanks to Mark Stoneman, Catherine Cox, Eddie Ramos, Richard Graves, Byron Jones, Bo Jung, Alistair Mina, Drew Bunkley, and Dre Mullins. Questions, comments, or concerns, leave a comment below or email the show info@hardparking. Follow the show on Instagram @hardparkingpod. And make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. And I will see you guys next week.
Now it's stripping time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Shut up!